it was basically something which struck us, about a year ago, a year and a couple of months ago, where a sport like wrestling, which has given us so much. I mean, we won the first Olympic medal in 1952 Olympics, which the country ever won as an individual Olympic medal was wrestling by a gentleman called K.D. Jadhav. So it's always easier to pick up a sport like cricket, re-strategize, reformat, bring it into a tight, concise format like IPL and make it into a success. But I think it's a different story to pick up a sport which is not perhaps as popular, which is not perhaps as watched or respected or perceived in the country. But it has the following, it has a base, it has a very strong intrinsical connect with the audience because it is a sport of the hinterland. We've been playing this sport. It is actually India's export, which ranges back to thousands of years. So that's where the whole thought started from. How do we pick up an event and a property like that and actually convert into a successful commercial product on ground, on air, which is an ensemble of both the products. I mean, it's, I'd like to mention here today that events and broadcast is not something which are very, very different as far as the sports IPR business is concerned. They're very intrinsically intertwined. They are, different facets of the same coin, and they have to be completely married in as a concept for the whole product to work. I mean, that's exactly why I think a product like PWL in season 1 has worked to the level it has. Let me give you some statistics. I won't bore you with many of them, but they're important to put things in perspective. So in the first season, PWL was about 100% more in terms of reach and viewership than ISL in its second season. As a commercial sports league, we are the second highest watched sporting property in its first season itself. And all of this won't have been possible without a great team, without the idea actually panning and evolving and working around it. I mean, it's one thing to have an opportunity and sense it. And it's one thing to create that opportunity into action, into event, into actually putting out the product over there. We understood the opportunities. There was a lot of surround sound. Wrestling was picking up. Our country's been doing phenomenally well. Wrestlers have been performing very well on the international arena in the last couple of Olympics and international events. And we saw that there is definitely room for a product like that to come in the market and catch people's imagination. And that's exactly what we did. And I can tell you, it wasn't a very easy or a simple journey. I mean, we had wrestlers from more than 35 countries. We had about 50 Olympians and 20 Olympic medalists in the first season, which number is going to grow to almost double in the second season. So from no stretch of imagination, it was an easy task to deal with that quantum of people from so many countries and put together an event of that size and magnitude. And the cherry on the top was that a gentleman working for us who decided to about 40 days before the event should start, he just said, this is not going to happen. And I bet my life that this is not going to happen, and you guys need to pull the plug. And, if life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. And that's what we did. We said, we will make it happen. We did, and to be honest, it has actually crossed the bounds of expectations that we had put out for ourselves, for our advertisers, for our viewers, for our broadcasters, whoever was intrinsically involved in putting this product. And I think it's a result of that today we are looking at a much bigger, sizable opportunity in PWL Season 2, which is around the corner on 15th of December. Also, I'd like to mention, these opportunities and these adversities, they sort of come along with each other. We had a lot of adverse situations because we had to pick up an Olympic sport which was considered and perceived to be boring, which was considered to be, this wrestling thing which happens in the mud and goes on continuously for hours altogether, and take it from that and build it into a property which was a viewership experience, not only for the broadcast viewership, but also for people who were watching on the ground. And I'll be happy to know, I'll be happy to tell you that we were actually having the event at the same time as ITPL was having it, and in the same premises in Delhi. I don't want to put anyone down or anything, but I just wanted to put it in perspective that, we had about 15,000 people waiting outside to get into the wrestling final, whereas it was difficult to sell more than 500 tickets for tennis. So where you had people like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, you name the biggest of the tennis stars were playing in that event. So all I'm saying is that it's not only about bringing the stars, it's not only about bringing it, the other aspects, quirky aspects of a product, it's about getting the fundamentals right. If you get the fundamentals right, you will be able to build a successful product. And it started with the whole philosophy of understanding wrestling, the viewership, how we built it, how we identified our customers, our campaigns, and they were a very integral part of it. I know we're talking about an events function and the experiential space where we can actually talk about how to accentuate that process, but I really want you to understand where we're coming from and what the narrative was. So I'd like request if you can play the promos, which will give you a sense of where we started from, how we built the product, how we actually communicated to the target audience and worked beautifully. Because 48% of our viewership was female. We were equally split between mega cities and rural India. We were 100% higher in mega cities than soccer, which was actually things which are very, very difficult to imagine and fathom, that an urban sport, a rural sport like wrestling can actually come to that level and occupy that space and bring in that kind of viewership and reach. I request if you can play the promos, please.
यहां सही में खून और पसीना एक हो जाता है। आ रहा है खेल फौलादी 10 दिसंबर से। पता है क्या होता है जब लोहे से लोहा टकराता है? आ रहा है खेल फौलादी 10 दिसंबर से।
So this was the teaser campaign, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because it was very intrinsical to the product and actually talking to the viewership and the audience that would actually connect with it. And I think it was very, very important for us to understand the product, analyze it, understand the business, and then use it to our advantage. I think wherever commercial sports IPR properties go wrong is when they don't understand the nature of the business that they're operating in. One of the most fundamental factors is that you cannot distinguish between the 10,000 or 25,000 people who come to watch you in a stadium and the 3 crore or 4 crore audiences that will watch your same product and sitting in their house or in a lounge or anywhere else. I think it's extremely important to build in an experience which is not only valued by the people who are sitting in the stadiums, but also by people who are sitting at home. And that's what sets it apart from all other broadcast businesses, because here you need to actually take care of those audiences and the broadcast audiences. And that is the true differentiator. I want to tell you something, we had such big difficulties when we started. About 41 days was really not enough time. All of you who are there from the event space know to do a live broadcast event for 2 hours, uplinking every day, which will reach out to about 3.5 crore people on daily basis. To do it back to back for 18 days continuously is not a mean task. We had to put together something in a span of less than 40 days, and we had to ensure that it competed with the best in the world. I mean, we were faced with so many problems. We couldn't find the kind of talent, the crews, everything which was required to build a world-class product like that. But we saw that as an opportunity, and we rose to the occasion. I mean, we had some of the best teams. We had the entire IPL team working with us on actually taking a very, very traditional individual sport and converting it into a team sport. Perhaps the first league in the world which has male and female wrestlers playing in the league side by side with each other. At the same time, not only did we bring in enough international talent or the best talent in the world, which actually gave an exposure of the exposure which Sakshi just spoke about. We're proud of Sakshi. She's a product of PWL. She made us proud by getting a bronze medal in the last Olympics. And unfortunately, we were looking at more medals. And that is the entire ecosystem we are trying to build with Pro Wrestling League. We want to build a cohesive, commercially sustainable ecosystem which will work well for every stakeholder, including the players, including the broadcasters, including the viewers. And I think it's only when the entire comprehensive ecosystem works, when the commerce makes sense, can sport and commercial sports have longevity in them. I think one of the biggest problems in commercial sports is longevity. We see a lot of these leagues starting and they don't see them through for the entire tenure they're supposed to be. And one of the major reasons is that they don't understand the business fundamentally, and they don't go about the business in the manner where they should be. And that is the major reason. I also would like to request if I can play the other promos, which actually targets, the kind of positioning we try to make for the product. It is slightly quirky ads, but they did very well for us. If you can play those as well, please.
यो आजकल की छोरियां शॉपिंग बैग उठाने में ही थक जाती हैं। कॉकरोच दिखा नहीं कि चिल्लाती हैं। फोटो पे लाइक न मिले तो सैड हो जाती हैं। फ्रूट नहीं खाती हैं, पर फ्रूट वाले शैम्पू से जरूर नहाती हैं। चुई में हो गई हैं छोरियां, इनको फौलादी बनाओ। प्रो रेसलिंग दिखाओ। दुनिया के सबसे ताकतवर रेसलर्स का मुकाबला। प्रो रेसलिंग लीग
10 दिसंबर से हर शाम 7 बजे सिर्फ सोनी मैक्स पल और 6 पर।
So, this was just an extension of showing how we reached out to audiences and that connect reflected. It's not about just your average male audience viewership that you are engaging into for a product like wrestling, but the statistic I mentioned earlier, 48% of our viewership came from females. Now, that is something which is very, very good, because you're trying to create a product into a traditionally seen as a male-dominated market. Now, the female viewership largely came in because of innovation, because of evolution of the product, the sport, without taking anything away from the sport. You'd be happy to know we've not changed any of the Olympic rules. We've played by the UWW rules internationally because we did not want to dilute the sport in any way. But at the same time, we wanted to augment the experience. So, we brought in a horde of innovations and evolutions which sort of changed the entire nature of the sport. We brought something called the toss, where you could actually block a player from the opposing team, which brings uncertainty to the outcome of a game, which seems to be very, very simple. Two wrestlers fighting with each other, one is stronger, the other one's weaker, so obviously you know what the outcome is going to be. How to create that experience, how to actually work with what you have, how to actually build upon those opportunities, how to build upon those gaps was a great learning curve for PWL in season 1. We managed to overcome that. We managed to come over multiple problems which actually have, let me give you a small example. I think one of the most highly watched wrestling events have been bouts where Yogeshwar, Sushil, these wrestlers have competed in the last Olympics. If you take out the ratings for these products, they were nowhere even near to what we did with PWL. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because it's not about the sport purely. It's about how you present it, how you package it, how do you tell the story. Ultimately, it's a narration. That narration is what accentuates the sport, the entire ecosystem, makes it successful, makes it worthwhile watching, and for everyone associated in that system to be able to benefit and gain out of that. So, I've spoken enough on the commercial side. I also want to talk a little bit on how we pulled off the event, what were the challenges on the ground, how did we actually make the difference where it mattered the most. I think we had a great team. We had a fantastic team. We've managed to pull off an event of this size successfully with better than what we expected. And I would like to bring in another AV and show you exactly the making of PWL, how it went through that journey. If you can play that AV as well, please. Thanks.